How can you scientifically prove that God exists?
What happens when one of cliffeknechtle's most intelligent debates turns into a clash over science and evidence of the existence of God against this atheist student? Did God leave us enough evidence here on Earth for you to put your faith in Him? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get into the video.
You're saying that you would need an intelligent designer. Well, God would then be an intelligent design in that aspect. There has to be an infinite regress. Who designed God?
Nobody designed God. God is an eternal being without beginning, without end.
There's no evidence of a God.
Sure there is. Design points to a designer. Moral objectives, objective morals, moral absolutes point to a moral lawgiver.
Morals are conventional. Social contract theory. They're conventional.
Fine. Try and live it out that morality is really relative, which means whatever your opinion is on murder, child abuse, and pedophilia, the opposite is equally valid. I don't think you can live that out.
It is equally valid, but it's not accepted because of social contract theory. That's the whole thing behind it. It's not accepted by society, and we're raised around this. Not just in my lifetime. I'm only 21 years old. We're raised, the whole entire existence of the human morale has been raised around this.
Well, I'm real glad that you weren't around at the Nuremberg trials, because the Nazi lawyers were brilliant. And the Nazi lawyers, representing the guys who had gassed Jews in Dachau and Auschwitz, said to the Allied judges, time out. All these officers, Nazi officers, did was to obey their culture, to carry out their orders. Who do you Allies think you are, coming from a different culture, from England and the United States, passing judgment on these Nazi Germans? Don't you understand? You come from a different culture. Your laws are irrelevant to Nazi Germany. And the Nuremberg trials shut down until Robert Jackson, the American consul, stood up and said, there's a law above the law of culture, and according to this law, the gassing of Jews in Dachau and Auschwitz is absolutely wrong. And the Nuremberg trials kicked back in. Why? Because Robert Jackson appealed to a moral law that was not relative, not culturally determined, but comes from the character of God, which is just, and that's why the Allies condemned the Nazi officers to death for the evil of Dachau and Auschwitz.
Well, why would you automatically jump to God, something being outside of this world, when you can look at a global culture? Commonly accepted morals are morals. Now, whenever people do deviate from this understood moral reasoning that we carry, just like the Nazis, they get reprimanded. Just like the Allies reprimanded the Nazis, because that is not accepted as conventional morality. Not in this global society. And it is a global society. And these morals came out of this global society.
If you can't understand the point of the Nuremberg trials and Robert Jackson's point of appealing to a law above the law, and I can promise you, sir, he wasn't appealing to the United Nations or the League of Nations or some nebulous...
Who was he appealing to, God?
He was appealing to an intangible value of justice that the Nazis violated when they gassed Jews. And he was appealing, obviously, to a law of justice that comes from the character of God. That's an eternal value. It wasn't thought up by people, by culture, by the world.
Well, I was raised Roman Catholic, so I'm aware of the stories. But just because it is written does not mean it is true. L. Ron Hubbard created the Church of Scientology. That is ridiculous. It's science fiction. It's an imaginary friend. Just because it's written does not mean it is true.
Correct.
Who wrote this? This was written 2,000 years ago.
Okay, great question.
A little less than 2,000 years ago, but still,
right.
How could we hold any validation by this text? There's a lot of text that has been thrown out, a lot of text that contradicts the text of the Bible. How could you just believe in it just because it's written? That doesn't.
No.
That's not a logical argument. Right?
Very good point. I have tests that I use on any document that claims to be historically accurate. My tests are 4 in number. Internal consistency, meaning by that are the contradictions in the text to point to massive confusion on the part of the authors. Second test, literary style. Is it once upon a time in the land of Nod, Wynken, Blinken, and Nod took a boat ride? That's obviously fairy tale. Or does it read like the New York Times or the LA Times? At this time, in this place, with these people around, Jesus said this and did that. That's how the Gospels read. Historical narrative, not fairy tale. Third test, archaeology. Was Jesus born on the island of Atlantis? Did he run around with Mickey Mouse, Elmer Fudd, and his cronies? No. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, grew up in Nazareth, hung around with Matthew, Mark,
And
John.
you on water and was raised from the dead? It's just as Mickey Mouse to me as, anything
That's
else.
because you philosophically don't allow for a supernatural God. And if there is a supernatural God, a miracle is not irrational. A miracle is simply the supernatural God changing a natural law he created in the first place. But if you're so narrow-minded that you don't allow for the possibility of a supernatural God, then obviously miracles don't happen. That's obvious. We agree. Whenever my first test is internal consistency. My second test is literary style. My third test is archaeological evidence. And my fourth test is manuscript evidence. The New Testament today is based on over 5,200 Greek manuscripts or pieces of manuscript dated from the 2nd through the 10th century AD, found from Rome, Italy, down around the Mediterranean to Alexandria, Egypt, all agreeing to an infinitesimal degree. There is no document from antiquity that can even approach the New Testament in manuscript evidence. 20 manuscripts for Aristotle. 20 manuscripts for Herodotus' works. 20 manuscripts for Tacitus and Thucydides. For the New Testament, over 5,200. It's incredible the manuscript wealth that we have for the New Testament.
The amount of a manuscript does not constitute it as being true. Anybody could write anything.
Good. What are the tests that you use to determine historical reliability? I just given you my 4 tests that I use to determine historical reliability.
Well, here's the thing. How can you scientifically prove that God exists?
Sir, you can't scientifically prove that Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. It's called historical knowledge. You don't get Abraham Lincoln back onto this campus every September and have John Wilkes Booth shoot him so you can scientifically prove it happened. That's not possible. Historical knowledge is not based on the repeatability of something. It's based on the trustworthiness of eyewitness testimony.
Okay, then what about the historical knowledge of more primitive religious beliefs?
I can promise Muhammad lived. Right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did live.
Right.
I believe that Jesus lived as a person. Doesn't mean that I believe he resurrected and his body went up to the skies.
Well, why do you believe Jesus lived?
Because of historical documentation that he lived.
Good. Great.
Okay.
And what's the historical documentation that he lived? What's the stuff you've read that convinces you that he lived?
Well, I've read the Bible. I have read it.
Okay.
Can't wrap my mind behind him going up to the skies, to the heavens.
So you do believe that historical knowledge is legitimate. It doesn't have to be scientifically proved.
Okay, yes.
Right? You believe in historical knowledge. Now, those historical documents that record how Jesus lived and what he taught and how he died also record how he rose from the dead. Why don't you believe that those same historical documents that record his life, teachings, and death are accurate when they talk about his resurrection? Why?
Well, other people say that he did not resurrect and he did not create all these miracles.
Right.
Just as much as you could say, well, the textual evidence supports it, there's textual evidence that does not support it.
No, there's no textual evidence that does not support his resurrection in the New Testament.
Not in the New Testament. Yeah, step outside of the Testament.
Good. So what's the gospel? What's the document that you appeal to that gives solid evidence that Jesus did not rise from the dead?
I can't bring up any particular text right now. That I cannot. Then I will concede that. But I know that there is textual evidence out there. Just because I can't say it right now, I wish I was more knowledgeable on the subject. But I know for a fact that there is.
All of us are living for something or someone that none of us can prove is true. I can't prove God. I can't prove Christ. You can't prove that whatever you're living
I'm
for is
living
true.
for myself.
Yeah.
Going about everyday life.
Fine. So please prove to me that the ultimate purpose of life is to live for yourself.
What proof would I need beyond it's my comfort? As long as everything's in order, my family's fine, I eat, I'm comfortable, that's all that matters. So,
Okay, good. So please prove to me that the ultimate purpose of life is to have my family live a comfortable life and for me to live a comfortable life.
I just did, because that's how I live my life.
And that's the proof?
Well, you said that your proof was based off of your life experience earlier.
No, I did not.
Yeah, no.
No, I did not. I did not say believe in Jesus because I believe in Jesus. I never once said believe in Jesus because I believe in him.
No.
In fact, I think you'd be an idiot to believe in Jesus because I believe in Jesus.
No.
Instead, I've said believe in Jesus because the historical evidence of the way he lived, taught, died, and rose from the dead points to his credibility.
I didn't say that you were impressing your belief on me through that. Maybe that's the way you took from what I said. But what I was saying is that earlier you did mention I believe in Jesus because of my life and not because of my assumptions, because of my experience of life. You interpret your experiences of life, and that's your interpretation. I interpret mine. Doesn't mean that you're true or that you're more right than I am. If I interpret that my life is lived the way I want it and I don't believe in God, you saying, well, my experiences have led me to believe in God, that doesn't hold any weight.
That's not my argument. I have never
said,
once
no,
said.
You stated that earlier.
I know, but you got to think carefully and listen to what I said. I said, my experience of reality is that every moral relativist that I have met cannot live out their moral relativism. Because to live out moral relativism means whatever you think about murder, child abuse, pedophilia, the opposite is equally true. Because it's all relative. You can't live that out. I don't think. Now, if I'm wrong, please tell me. Please tell me. I think murder, pedophilia, and child abuse is wrong, but I realize that if someone chooses to murder, to abuse children, and to rape little boys, it's okay. Not for me, but it's okay. It's okay for them, and it's okay because it's all relative. So you can't live that out. Neither can I.
People live that out every day, though. If you don't
no, they do not.
Look, if I don't agree with it,
no, they do not.
If I don't agree with it, I'm not going to do it. But if somebody else does, child molesters, they think it's all right, they do it. I don't think it's all right, so I don't do it.
But if you're a moral relativist, you have to acknowledge when they do it, they're not doing anything evil.
For them, it's all right.
For them, it's all right. And in reality, it's all right. Because reality is relative. That's what you believe. And my point to you is, you can't live that out consistently. You have to be an intellectual hypocrite. You have to break down at some point and say to the murderer, you should not have murdered her. You should not. And when you use the word should, you're breaking with your moral relativism. And you're saying, there's a real value. Do not murder. You just violated it. You're wrong. A moral relativist can't do that. A moral relativist can just honestly say, from my perspective, murder's wrong, but that's just a relative perspective. All righty. Thank you so much for talking. Good to meet you. Cliff. And you're?
I believe you found this video helpful. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments